And you have New Orleans really with control of the top part of this draft because they have number 1 and they have number 4, and they've had that 4th overall pick at auction all week long.
Mm-hmm. And what does that change ultimately for the Pelicans? I mean, what are they able to get with their David Griffin now in charge and the adjustments that they're making ultimately with that franchise? It's not rebuild, it seems like. I mean, they're being able to do a little bit of a reload right now.
Yeah, and that's because of the arrival of Zion. He gives them the ability to not try to tear this thing down and go young with draft picks and stripping salary. They're going right back in and trying to get into the playoffs with Lonzo Ball, Brandon Ingram, Drew Holiday, who's an outstanding player back, and they're trying to turn that 4th overall pick and maybe more picks from the Lakers in that deal into an all-star player if they can find one available in the marketplace.
All right, you hear that sound? You'll be hearing it all night long. That means that the Pelicans are on the clock. Bobby Marks, he is going to have our very first pick. Remember, operating as the GM, I don't think it's going to take him that long to figure out exactly who he does want to draft for the Pelicans.
No, Maria, it is not going to take very long, and New Orleans will select the new face of the franchise, Zion Williamson from Duke. And I think when you look at Williamson, a 6'6", power forward that can play multiple positions here, especially in this day and age where he can occasionally play small ball 5. Probably the best draft prospect that we have seen since maybe his could have been former teammate, Anthony Davis, who's now been traded to Los Angeles. And I think, Mike, when we look at Zion Williamson right now and the addition of Lonzo Ball from the Lakers, what's the impact that you see that Ball will have on him right now?
I think it's going to be huge. In transition, you can imagine those guys getting out in the open court, Lonzo Ball to Zion Williamson lobs. They can play fast, they can play aggressively, they can switch everything defensively. And what I love about Zion is just the fact that he's a thankless superstar. Woj touched on potentially trying to add an all-star caliber player. Zion is an easy guy to play with. He does all the little things. He's willing to fly around defensively. He's a monster rebounder, plays as hard as any number 1 pick I can remember.
All right, Mike, well, just to review some of the accolades for Zion, he's just the 3rd freshman to win the Wooden Award. Remember, KD accomplished that. And, of course, AD, Anthony Davis. He also shot the ball 68% during his 1 season at Duke. And that was the best by any freshman in Division I history. So, like Mike said, he is certainly easy to play with. And you're talking about a franchise guy, someone that you can build around. And you kind of mentioned it a little bit, too. The pieces that come over from the Lakers will allow David Griffin that opportunity.
Yeah, and they really like the pairing of Lonzo Ball and Zion Williamson in the open floor. New Orleans picked up the team option on the 2021-22 year on Coach Alvin Gentry's contract. David Griffin really sees his style of play fitting with the group they have. And what they know with Zion and what everybody knew was not just a franchise talent, but a franchise person, the kind of guy you want to build the whole organization around character-wise. And that for the Pelicans is another reason to keep trying to bring in guys to win right now. They know that he has the maturity to handle everything that's going to come at him here.
They have the number 4 overall pick. Mike Schmitz, who are you going with?
So you saw the additions, right? You saw Lonzo Ball, you saw Josh Hart, Brandon Ingram, and Drew Holiday as well on the perimeter. But to me, it does not matter. I'm drafting the best talent, and the best prospect on the board is Darius Garland. This is a guy who we had as the number 1 point guard on our board coming into the season before the emergence of Ja Morant. And just looking at the point guards that are having success in today's NBA, whether it's a Steph Curry or a Kyrie Irving or a Damian Lillard, it's guys who can shoot it off the dribble with range at a pick and roll. That's what Darius Garland does. And the fact that he can shoot it off the catch allows him to fit with those other guards in multi-guard lineups. So he has the highest upside. And, with New Orleans potentially looking for that all-star caliber player, he could be an asset as well to potentially moving forward.
All right, so remember, when we're talking about Darius Garland, you might think to yourself, oh, I haven't heard of him that much before. That is because he was only able to play 5 games at Vanderbilt due to a torn meniscus in his knee. So that's why you haven't heard of him. But obviously coming into the season, this was a guy that a lot of people had pegged as a playmaking guard that could play 2 different positions. We've seen him a little bit in those first 5 games. He hit step backs. He's really agile and he can move. So an addition of another guard maybe, according to Mike Schmitz, for the Pelicans could be a good move.
Yeah, and a player who, once he went down, his team, Vanderbilt, went 0-18. Yeah. In the SEC, but the chance to get at Darius Garland at number 4 is part of the reason that pick has so much value for the Pelicans right now. They're out in the marketplace. There's really 3 scenarios. They're trying to either get a really good veteran player, perhaps an all-star, using 4 as the key to that deal. They have other Laker picks, even the players from the Lakers deal. They could stay there and make the pick, or they could move down. There are plenty of teams who've been knocking on the door at 4. They could get multiple first-round picks in the future and expand that Lakers deal, make it worth 5, 6 first-round picks. So David Griffin has a lot of options leading into Thursday night.